You're tuning in to Craigcast, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in Web3. I'm your host, Craig O. Join me on my live stream as we go across multiple platforms, talking to some of the best people in the space. I've done well over 100 episodes, full-length podcasts gone live on multiple channels. All that to be said, Craigcast helps my community to plot, plan, strategize, and implement their next moves. I describe myself as 25% DJ. The other 75% is really steadfast to make sure that I understand the long-term implications of this space. I want to bring information to you. We might not happen to the same NFT community, but we are all here, and the bigger bet is on crypto overall. How will blockchain affect a world that will be fully tokenized in the next 10 to 15 years? Where will quantum computing be? How will AI, as it's already been a disruptor, how will that impact us over the next 5 to 10 years? So everything that we do on this stream is long-term in mind. I'm your host, Craig O. Let's get to it. What's up, guys? Craig O here, and you're tuning into Craigcast, our bi-weekly stream series on X, YouTube, and Twitch. Truly excited to welcome in Banana Mac, Nicole, and Matt Roth, King of Cardio. How are you guys doing?
Happy to be here, keeping the Top Shot dream alive.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different off the cuff, which is I wanted each of you to maybe take a moment and introduce yourself and how we got connected. I'll kind of maybe go on the back end of that. And then I want to dive in today into all things NBA Top Shot, because as we believe, we plot, plan, strategize, and implement our next moves. And we got to know, what are we looking like for 2026? So before we get to that, Matt, give me a little bio on you, and then I want to go over to Nicole if I can.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I joined NBA Top Shot in October of 2020. Like everyone else, I was at home bored, fiending for some live sports. The NBA had shut down in March. It seemed like it was missing from our lives for a bit longer than 4.5 to 5 months, but that's what it was, because the NBA started back up. I want to say, I don't know, October of that year. And in the meantime, just to pass time, I was doing stuff like betting on simulations of John Madden video games. How crazy does that sound? But some of you do remember that on DraftKings, because we didn't have live sports and we wanted some action. What do? We actually bet on simulations of John Madden football games. What's my point? Well, when I was super bored and watching old Browns highlights and betting on simulated John Madden matches, I heard about NBA Top Shot. And at first it didn't, I didn't exactly wrap my head around the concept. But yeah, sooner or later, I did think it was super cool. I always thought that a stock market for the NBA would be a great idea, 200 IQ idea. And Top Shot pulled it off. And I joined, and I'm still here. And yeah, before we just get too deep into anything, I'd really like to give Top Shot credit, because it has been 5 years. And, some of the heroes from the last cycle are gone now. Who are the heroes from the last cycle? Maybe Sam Bankman-Fried and his FTX platform. Well, that platform is gone. And Sam, believe it or not, is in jail with Puff Daddy. Did you know that, Craig or Nicole? Can you believe that or no?
I did. I know. I haven't watched the Diddy documentary. Before we dive too deep down, and I want to tie this one up in a bow for you. Are you trying to say that there were a lot of big crashes around us and still standing so we can plot, plan, strategize, and implement our next moves is none other than NBA Top Shot? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, they're still standing tall. They're still making a beautiful product. I love those moments. If you want to cash out, it takes about 3 minutes. Right. So, Top Shot has caught some flack along the way, but hey, they're still a viable company making new, very cool moments. And yeah, there's just something to be said for that. Luna is another one. I won't go on and on about, crypto companies that have folded along the way, but how you put it, Top Shot is still here. They're standing tall. What did Luna have? LUNA. I'm sure you remember the name, Craig and Nicole. They had what? $1 billion, a $10 billion market cap, and now
it was an algorithmic stable coin. And I want to come back to you, Matt. I do. And by the way, we've got a lot of people tuning in on Twitch as well, which is interesting. I hooked it up because we're playing across eventually 4 platforms, which will go to Rumble. Today, we're coming in on X and YouTube, which are our primary channels for the love that we get from the community as we move forward. I want to come over to Nicole real quick. Nicole, what's your story? I mean, you're Banana Mac. You left an indelible impression upon me. People thought I was completely new to NBA Top Shot. I wasn't. I just walked away from it. I didn't really enjoy it at that time when it was new, sort of the Dapper wallet experience. I wasn't really as experienced maybe as I am more so now. But Nicole, tell me a little bit about you.
So I got into Top Shot after the boom. So I'd say at about May 2021 through my brother who knew I was a basketball sicko. In the Top Shot community, I've solely collected what I love through the process, and I'm hooked up with the collected and connected people. And I'm just honestly all about spreading good vibes in the community, and I'm pretty bullish on Top Shot. That's me.
Yeah, well, you know what? I love that, and I like it short, sweet, to the point. And Matt, I want to say, you and I've had a lot of hours of conversation on the phone, as well as with you, Nicole. We had a couple Google Meets. And, I said to you guys, look, if there was ever an opportune time, right? Because I come at it from a digital asset collector standpoint. Do I love the game? I like the game. Have I been to an NBA game before? Yes, I have. Could I tell you the top team that's out there right now? No, I can't. Unabashedly, let's be honest here. But more importantly, I see real long-term value in this collection. And when I connect with you and Matt, I'll say, hey, guys, if I'm going to ask you for a moment that might be sitting anywhere, say, between $1 to $25, maybe even $50, that was a while ago, a $10,000 moment, or even a $30,000. I think I have one of those, or a few of them actually. And I see that NBA Top Shot can do some incredible things. And we've got the Flow blockchain behind this with Dapper Labs. We've got a lot of things going on. So maybe, if I can, Matt, with all your experience, what are the top 3 improvements Top Shot must prioritize going into 2026?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's start with Fast Break. Fast Break is a daily fantasy game where you use your Top Shot moments to build lineups. And people really enjoy it. I think I noticed that there were 5,000 users, collectors, whatever you want to call them, playing that game yesterday, and that's something to be proud of. If the 3 of us, Craig, if you, Nicole, and I ran a business and we had 5,000 people signing in to play our game every day, we'd be pretty pumped and looking for ways to improve it, to get maybe 10,000 or 50,000 people coming to play. It's certainly possible. Basketball is a big business. What's my point? I would add a little bit of money up top to the prize pool. And I get it. Something is better than nothing. Most basketball cards, 99.5% of basketball cards, you cannot game with. You cannot play fantasy sports with. But I would like to see Top Shot add a little bit more to the prize pool, because now the runs, we'll call them. So each day you create a lineup and then they'll have a run, which lasts maybe 2 weeks. So that's 14 days of lineups. And if you win this run, if you're if you come in first place out of about 5,000 lineups, I think your reward is maybe $200. Again, cool, $200, got it, great. I understand most places, 99.9% of your cards you can't do this with, right? But if I'm Top Shot, I would add a little bit more to the prize pool, because I think it would attract more people from the outside that are looking in, that now they see this $200 first place prize and they think, okay, that's a cool game, but I don't want to spend 2 weeks playing a game where if I'm sharp enough, I'm fortunate enough to come in first place out of 5,000 people, my reward is 200. So there's number 1, right? I would add a little bit more to the prize pool. But again, kudos to them for even creating the game. That's really awesome. That's one of the differentiators, we'll get into this later, between physical and digital, right? We can actually game with digital. Everybody likes digital. Number 2, what I would do is
You're good. You go. Keep going. You're good.
Number 2, what I would do is I've been really big on linear scarcity. Well, what does linear scarcity mean? I think that you should have the scarcest stuff in the first edition, in Series 1, and kind of go from there. So you have super scarce, let's just say the commons, well, let's say exactly what they are. On Top Shot, the highest mint count for any common in Series 1 is just under 4,000. It's 39.99.
Okay.
And then in Series 2, because they had a lot more people that wanted to join and buy their moments, they made more moments. Got it. Great. I understand. And in Series 3, they made even more. You with me so far? So we have linear scarcity so far. Now here's where it gets tricky. Top Shot made too many moments. And let's just say it was an honest mistake. If their founder were on the show right now, he'd say, excuse me, Matt, we had people that really wanted to buy packs, and we would have these lines of 100,000 people, and people were really salty that they couldn't get packs. And people were also really mad, Matt, that they couldn't buy their favorite player for less than $50. So we had to create a lot more supply. What happened was they created too much supply, and it oversaturated the market. And, you know, for many reasons, a lot of people left. So Top Shot realized later on, okay, we can't make 60,000 pop counts. That's short for population count for the non-card collectors out there anymore. It's not going to work. We've got about 500 to, on a great day, 1,500 or 2,000 average daily unique buyers. There's no reason for us. It's not optimal for us to make a moment with 60,000 copies. So what did they do? Well, they brought down the mint counts greatly, which, okay, got it. That's good. That's what you guys needed to do. But it disrupted the scarcity model. So now we have this like delineated scarcity where we have we have rare moments from Series 2 that are more common than common moments from later series. So a new user signs on to Top Shot, and as they're just like scrolling and combing through the market, their head starts to spin. They're thinking, wait a minute,
but
I don't get this.
Before I want to come over to Nicole in a second, as I was going through first, right, I said there's two types of experiences. One is you can go from the Flow wallet, you can connect it onto OpenSea, and you can purchase that way. And the experience, I would say, is kind of better the other way, where kind of that Web 2 experience, you sign in with your user email, and you can go through on NBA Top Shot. You can see all these moments, and using it on the desktop is a lot easier than doing it from your phone. And they have an app, which has made it a lot more fun. I think you spoke to a couple things that really resonated with. One is you spoke about linear scarcity, and you're kind of diving into the weeds. And so I want to maybe just pull it back a little bit, simplify it. And I want to run over to Nicole, but you spoke about pop counts, how this is important, and maybe what we do get into a little bit is the burn maps. But I'm seeing on some of the comments, we've got a little over 800 people on the stream on X. Guys, appreciate you coming in. I also appreciate the quality of comments, more importantly, but people are asking them big question. What are the moments that we should buy? So I'm going to tell you guys to continue to listen in, because we're not going to tell you right now. You got to continue to listen in so we can keep our metrics up. So Nicole, let me come over to you. With all that Matt has said, what to you is resonating the most on right now at this moment on a simple level? Because I love how Matt dives into the weeds. What can they do to make it a better user experience for next year? What are they not doing that into next year would really be a differentiator?
I would say to continue to airdrop current active users instead of doing people who were in like the 2020 boom who might not be active. Reward people who are there and in our community. I would say to reward sets, anyone who holds sets and moments, because that is someone who's dedicated, as well as in real life experiences. Send people to games again, get tours going, get in real life meetups, because a huge part of Top Shot, in my opinion, is the community factor.
Right. I mean, by the way, this is a loyal community, Nicole. That's one thing that I've seen. As soon as I started to actually post that I was going to do a conversation around this, and it just by kismet, however you and I connected, and then I connected with Nicole, because Nicole, you actually dropped something into my wallet. There's something about what you do and how you engage with the community that is really that makes me see very clearly why this community is amazing. It is as it is. And also, I don't want to unicorn you, but you are one of the few women in this space. And I say that women bring a double-edged factor to it. They understand the emotional component. And then with you strategize on the logic side. And we're going to talk a little bit about Floaty later on in the conversation, why that's so valuable. But again, a lot of people, and I'm an honest collector, I'm here for a number to go up long term. And when I see the prices where they are now, and I'll reiterate it a few times during the stream, that has me truly excited. So maybe I want to come over to you, Matt, if I can, and then I want to run over to you on Nicole on this one. What can they do about the burn map, right? We know we've got about 45 million moments. And if I said to Matt, I said, Matt, what's the biggest connector of that this year, the new moments? He goes, it's the rookies. And I know even Nicole, I talked to you about that. So let's talk about that burn map. What are they getting right now? And where could they use maybe some tweak of improvement? Because if on this stream, that message gets out to the team that makes those directive orders, well, that's impactful. That's important. This stream would have been worth it just for that alone.
Okay, yeah. So to wrap up my last point, just to simplify it and put a bow on it, I think they should burn more early moments, point blank, period. I gave you about a 2-minute long-winded rant about linear scarcity, but all I'm really saying is that they should burn the earlier moments. The first edition stuff should be the best. We shouldn't have these, I know they're not exactly derivatives, but they kind of are when you get down to, series 7 or 8. I just don't think it makes sense to burn newer moments. So in terms of a burn map, as you put it, I think that's what they should do. Here's one of their issues. And look, I want to keep this as clean and positive as possible. I know nobody wants to listen to a buzzkill about NBA Top Shot. But they need to burn a lot of moments, because one of the knocks against them is, hey, you guys have 40 million moments and about 1,000 daily unique buyers. Let's do something about that. 40 million doesn't sound like the optimal amount. And if it's suboptimal, maybe we should do something about it. What's my point? I think they need to figure out a way to burn millions of moments. Right now, they're running these burns, many of which will have a singular winner up top. It just seems like a waste of time to run a burn with one winner who ends up burning 25 cards. And then you have these Twitter accounts with 32,000 followers that are Top Shot has 40 million moments. I'm not touching Top Shot. Top Shot needs to be able to counter with, well, excuse me, look, sorry, we made too many moments, and we're trying to burn down and shave down supply as much as possible. And we've taken out 10 million moments from circulation. I think people would have empathy towards Top Shot if that was their claim. If it was simply, look, we get it. We made too many moments, but we've also burned down 10 million. So give us a little bit of credit. Well, they can't really say that now, because these burns that they're running just aren't putting a dent in that overall number.
Do you remember
Nicole?
we were talking? Do you remember,
Sorry.
Nicole? Let me come to you in just a second. Do you remember that we were talking about dynamic NFTs, and we were talking about how, say, such a collection of, say, Tiger. We'll use a Tiger collection. I don't want to be specific. And you said, Craig, around every collection, they have to create something to then launch off that next thing, whatever that thing is. With NBA Top Shot, everything is predicated around a moment, which is really special. And to me, that's what makes, when you're going to collect digital assets, i.e. NFTs, and there are these digital moments that are truly on chain, that you truly have ownership around, which we can maybe dive into a little bit more. But Nicole, what are your thoughts on what Matt just had to say?
I'm a little different than Matt on this one. I actually like the rookies and how they are burning them, but I like Series 1, no hate on Series 1, but I do collect the active rookies, and I like that it's a form of gamification. You collect and stack a rookie you believe in, then you burn that moment down, and you get a rare, and then you get a freshman gem, and you can burn it for a legendary. I think it continues to knock the supply as adding new supply happens. To me, I know what happened in the past with Series 2 and Series 3. We can't necessarily go back and fix it all overnight. So I think if we continue going along the right path in the newer series, we'll be okay long term. I have a lot of belief in how they're rolling it out.
So Nicole, do you kind of disagree when I claim that they've been kind of scarlet lettered for just their oversupply?
Like a little bit. To be fair, I'm not someone who was in it during the big boom, so I don't have the same connection as some people with the losses and everything that happened. I just think there's a lot of good product coming out, and I collect the new stuff, so I love seeing my rookies get burned down. That started at
I guess, Nicole,
okay,
you got to understand, this is the perspective of someone who came in, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, into $500, crushed it, knocked it out of the park, but then is sitting there going, man, I could have hit more home runs. So I have more empathy on where Matt is coming from. But I think it comes back to this conversation around, it's a great platform. It's user-friendly. If you know how to use Facebook, Instagram, X, or just your computer, like this, to figure out NBA Top Shot is not hard, but to really collect the moments, the right moments based on burn strategy. And I agree with Matt that, Matt, we need more clarity from top down on specific moments to be burned, or groups or sets of, right? And you spoke about fast break, which I thought was really interesting. I just want to revisit that for a second. You've got 5K daily users, and how many, and I put this as a question mark, and you can answer this, Matt, how many active purchases a day, which I'm sure that's very vastly different. I want to say maybe 300 to 400 a day.
How many purchases or purchasers? Purchasers is usually around 500 to 1,000. How many total moments they're buying per day?
Correct.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right. So we'll say that we have about 500 to 1,000 people who purchase a day, and 1/5 of that is the group that makes up this fast break. So my question,
not 1/5 of that, 10 times that.
10 times that, my bad. So 10 times that, 10x. And so my question would be, is that maybe some of their strategy starts from fast break, but in either regard, here we are sitting knowing that there's a lot of utility that can be delivered, because the NBA, in partnership with Flow and Dapper Labs, has created this incredible collection that, quite frankly, isn't going anywhere. And to our point before, talking about it being a dynamic NFT in the regard of moments being created, that's just happening by virtue of the game of basketball. And maybe I'll fall into love with it by just coming in as a collector, but appreciating the moments that I have. Go ahead, Matt.
Let me just interrupt real quick. So this is where I'm extremely bullish on Top Shot overall. Many NFT projects, they have to get like super creative behind the scenes to come up with new, just fun, engaging content. Whereas Top Shot just gets to lean against the NBA. And every single day, like we've got new content from the NBA. They don't have to have staff meetings to think about how to get us energized. Like, we're all on Twitter, our phones, whatever, by ourselves, paying attention to the game anyway. So I really think Top Shot has legs in that regard, whereas many other NFT projects, it's like, geez, they're really drilling us to come up with a new game, with a new token, with something to get everybody high-fiving again. And again, Top Shot just has the narrative of the NBA, and I think that's going to work out quite well for them.
I agree. Look, go ahead, Nicole. You're good.
I think something to add on to about the fast break is we also have an historical run. So all the players who were once legends in the game, Paul Pierce and all those guys, you can use their moments and play historical, which is under a simulator. There's no injuries, no days off. Every team plays every night. And you can use your moments that way too, which is great for people who maybe aren't into the current NBA, but love the older game. And I think it's kind of one of those wraparounds where there's kind of something for everybody right now.
Now, I'm coming in as a sort of like a new collector in this regard, really appreciating the app that you have on your phone. You download it from your app store, and I can see my moments right there. It's relatively secure with the 2FA. And the fact that things are so low on price right now, it allows me to pick up moments that people spent tens of thousands of dollars for. And so That's a really kind of, it's almost that little euphoria that maybe I'm grabbing a gold gem or I'm betting on a player long-term. So I do want to ask you guys, and then maybe we'll kind of talk a little bit about the players themselves, because I do have that as a section in here. As far as it's sort of like, if I was to think Bored Ape Yacht Club or CryptoPunk, which one would I pick and why? If I'm looking out 5 years, because all of this is a play long term. We've spent thousands of dollars on stuff that never went anywhere, and now moving forward, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, how do I really move clearly with some really good thought in mind? So where do you guys believe, right, when you think about the experience and the improvements of this season as a collector, what has NBA Top Shot gotten right for, say, Q3 and Q4 of 2025?
Nicole?
I think right now they've gotten the rookies right. and they've gotten the mint count right. So I think they've lowered all their mint counts to, I believe rookies right now are 1,000 for the main, 99 for blockchain because there's parallels, and then hard courts are 50. And it's pretty amazing because we now have autographs on moments. And it's authentic. It's all on Web3. It's all in the chain. That's legit. And I think that's amazing.
I love it. Matt, what about you?
Dude, they still make the best product in the whole space. And this is why I sometimes rage like an insane person on Twitter, because I really believe in the fucking product, dude. Just look at digital sports cards. Show me one that's made better than Top Shot. You can't. The actual moment brings so much more to life than a static card. I grew up collecting cards. I fucking love cards, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's just so many things you can do with Top Shots. And again, that's where I give them the credit. The moments still look very nice. They added sound to them. To Nicole's point, they brought down the mint counts. Now that kind of tilts me or frustrates me because they have not tried their best to shave down supply from earlier seasons. I won't get too into the weeds about the whole linear scarcity thing. I get it. People aren't tuning in to listen to that. But I can believe two things at the same time. I can be upset that they haven't gone back to burn down those earlier moments. And I can also give them credit now for making this year's moments very scarce, because they could have said, guys, back off. We're going to make 100,000 of these things. It's a 100-year product, and that's what we're doing. But they didn't. They listened to their community. And again, in Series 3, they were making commons with 60,000 copies, Craig, of the same play. There would be 60,000 copies. And now they're making, out of 1,000 or out of 8,000. So that's one of the things I think they're doing well.
But you got to, think about it this way, supply and demand. And, at the very beginning of 2021, when, everything was launching off and people were at their home looking in a tube all day, couldn't really meet out for coffee, you had this sort of attention economy. You had this ability to, make money, but you also had a chance to kind of see, well, how much demand do we really have? And how much are people really willing to spend? And I guarantee you there's a lot of data on the back end that NBA Top Shot and a lot of other companies have that go, okay, this is how people behave. This is what they do. And then it was for us to go, wait, I got really greedy. I got wrecked a bunch of times. I admit it. I'm okay with it. But I also talked to more of my friends that didn't get wrecked and made good decisions and didn't lose their crypto. Okay.
Well, and to your point, there were these moments, Craig, that were 5, 10, 20 grand that you're getting for fractions of pennies on the dollar. So they're they've become like these asymmetric bets. You asked me last week what moments you should look at. I told you, I don't know, maybe buy the Series 1 Steph Curry because it's his only three-pointer from Series 1. And you bought it, and this isn't financial advice. I'm not trying to pump anything, but a couple days later, I sent you a screenshot, and I said it doubled. I said, look, it doubled. And I think you paid around 20. Those things were liquid for around $4,000 at one point, which is pretty crazy when you do the math there. But just stuff like that, you've kind of passively asked a few times if we have any just good moments in mind for people that are onboarding now that might be good buys for them. I think you said for, I don't know, under $100 or so. So there's one, the Series 1 Steph Curry. I'm a big fan of the Series 1 stuff. It's kind of one of those.
But before we go down that rabbit hole, because I want to talk about maybe some of the metrics, right? So we talked a little bit about the burning, but Top Shot, I think they have a fairly healthy ecosystem now, not what it was, because what it was during COVID was very much inflated, was very much artificial. It kind of dove off this cliff like everything else, 99.9% of projects. Where, if you were to give it on a health meter of 1 to 10, where do you think Top Shot ranks right now? We know that you love the product. I mean, that's an obvious. I mean, you've said it 5 times. But my question being is, if you had to rank between 1 and 10, Matt, I'm going to ask you, and then Nicole, I'm going to ask you, and then why? What would you rank it, and what's the why?
I would give it a 5 out of 10, and the why, even though I told you 5 times I love it, the daily unique buyer number really puts a hard cap on my enthusiasm. So no matter how pumped up I get, I just get kind of it just sobers me to see that okay, there's less than 1,000 people that are like me on the entire planet. Like, and I do think the longer time goes, without some sort of whatever you want to call it, rejuvenation, that it makes it even less likely that like rebirth will happen, kind of, because just like out of sight, out of mind. So that's kind of why, even though I love the product and I'm still all in and I think it's beautiful, et cetera,
unique buyers,
like 5 out of 10.
Okay, 5 out of 10. Unique buyers are the biggest concern. Banana Mac, what about you?
I'm going to go a little higher just because I am way too positive all the time. I'm going to go on a 7 because I think, not to go too deep into the world, the general economy is not great right now. And the first thing that's going to hurt is collectibles, gym memberships, anything like tangible that's not your food and housing. So I think Top Shot has tons of potential, and I think people can see it, but people need to have the extra money to put into the product.
Okay. All right. So lack of liquidity is yours.
In a way, like, I mean, we do have offers on almost every moment on the platform. So if I wanted to liquidate my whole account right now, I could, for the most part, do it very easily within a couple days, even if I just took high offers on everything.
You know, to me, that to me is a bullish metric, guys, because even if the platform at the very top, the whales with a lot of money, respect to them, like anybody else, because they put their money out there, whether you like approach or you don't, the fact that they're willing to buy your moments out tells you that their long-term excitement, bullish, their long-term excitement for what the NBA has in store, and then their excitement for Flow and for Dapper is why you're able to get bought out, because there are a lot of collections that sit on the floor on Ethereum or Solana where you can't unload, and it shows this big price number, but you've got no buyers. So the price is just stuck. It's like driving at 60 miles an hour. You got no brake. You can't come to a stop. At least if you needed to get off the metaphorical train of NBA Top Shot, you have that. And that to me is probably why, and I want to go right between you guys. You said 5, you said 7. I'm going to say a 6.5. I'm more on the idea of positive sentiment, because the more positive we are about the collections that we have, not that we hide these things. And Matt is a very good spokesperson, advertiser, banner and all around all things NBA Top Shot. We need to make sure that we're onboarding people, that they understand how easy it is to get involved. And worst case scenario, you get on the NBA Top Shot, it costs you $10, and you got 3 moments that at one point someone purchased as cumulative value, and this can happen, for $50,000. Who's the bigger future potential winner than you? No, meaning someone purchased it for $30,000 to $50,000 for all those moments. Someone could spend $10 on the platform right now, because that's how far things regress. But you've got these moments. I want to go back to Series 1 with you, Matt. Series 1, I think, is really important, because we believe that the genesis, or where it all started, the OG collection is always it. And I always look for those badges, even on the suggestions of things that you guys talk about, because that Series 1 and even Series 2 are really important. And maybe it will just have us dive in, if we can. Let's talk a little bit about bubble moments, right? So now I want to talk a little bit, maybe shift gears a little bit towards collector mentality. Talk to me about bubble moments, if we can.
Dude, that's the rarest environment in NBA history. And what do we want as collectors? We want rare cards. We want rare assets. And it just happened to coincide with Top Shot's Series 1, their first edition cards. I mean, that's just so sick. You cannot write the book on, and let's just say NFTs are never popular again. There's still going to be movies, books, whatever about NFTs. You can't write the book about NFTs without a series or without a chapter on Series 1 Top Shot, period. Again, and it's not like we're just talking about some meme coin or some token. We're talking about some really cool moments that encapsulated the time as well as anything. It was like a biosecure fortress that was a once in 100-year event that's just never going to happen. The courts, I don't care if you're a social justice warrior or not, it still makes these things super collectible, that they say Black Lives Matter on the courts. There's no fans in the audience. you just have fake, pictures of fans and maybe a police officer in the corner with a mask on. And you have, you have signs in the stands that say vote or YouTube TV. These are real deal Holyfield collectibles. And if Top Shot is around in 10 years, again, back to what I was saying, if X, then Y kind of thing. If Top Shot is around in 10 years, then Series 1 will be valuable. There's no way it all works out where Top Shot is some, flourishing business in 10 years, but like people value Series 3 over Series 1. So that Series 1 will just, again, always just kind of be like a real collectible to me. Nicole, do you have any thoughts on those Series 1 moments from that Disney bubble?
Oh, I totally agree with everything you said. And I also think it will forever be a championship people talk about, because some people feel like the Lakers didn't deserve the NBA Finals that year, but because they were in the bubble, they were living in Disney. So, like, I think every piece of Series 1 is important when it comes to those bubble moments, because they are a piece of time. And it's never happened before. And, like, I collect some Series 1. It might not be the top of my collection, how it is for Matt, but I think it's so important to have in your collection.
Those can really turn into blue chip collectibles long term. Like those little clips of those games with just empty stands and really cool stuff. And if you watch the moments, you can really tell by the editing and everything. They did a real good fucking job.
One of the things that I'll say is, like, when you open up that storybook, because you mentioned that, Matt, and I agree with you completely. You open that book for NFTs, and right there, that first page, when you turn over, that really lit the NFT season on fire, was absolutely NBA Top Shot. And there were other notable collections, but I want to talk about NBA Top Shot on this stream, obviously, that really set it afire. And then there were other collections subsequent that came after that. What were you going to say, Matt?
I was just going to say, if you remember at the time during the NFT craze, you'd have these claims like, oh, you should NFT your diamond wedding ring. And that's never really going to resonate with the public. Some people are thinking like, okay, that's too far.
Right.
What's my point? My point is Top Shot makes sense. Like, to digitize basketball cards, it just makes perfect sense. It's not like some reach. It's not like you're trying to sell someone some dream that can never be executed. It makes perfect sense.
All right. Now, Matt, before we go a little bit further, right, because I want to go into the next part about you. By the way, Vic, keep that comment up there if you can, because I want to talk about your $500 investment, what you were able to do since you were open book about that, because I think it's super impressive. I think Nicole and I, we'll take some notes. And then Nicole, we're going to talk about Floaty a little bit, but I see there are 4 players in the NBA who put up over 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and they are international. Luka, Nicola, right? I got that. Nikola Jokic, and Giannis and Danya. If I got that right? This goes to tell you what a basketball fan I am. Tell me of those players. Okay. Tell me of those players when you're thinking strategy, and I've got some money on the side. Who are you purchasing first and why right now?
Of those 4 or any player?
Of those 4. Let's just go those 4. I always like to interact with our comments. We got a quality comment.
I'm going Jokic every time. MVP. Dude is like insane every night. Like, I just think he's a guy. I'm not a Luka lover.
I love it. By the way, I love when I butcher a name on the live. What about you, Matt?
I would go with Jokic or Luka, and I just bought Jokic's Top Shot debut from Series 1 yesterday for $311. Serial number 11. Very sick moment. He goes around the back twice and then finger rolls it. Man, what a sweet card that is.
By the way, at its high, for that $300 that you put approximate behind that moment on such a low serial, how many editions in that?
So there's one edition, and the amount of moments in that, I think there's a little bit over 1,200 or 1,431 actually, I believe.
Okay, 1,400 moments. You got number 11 for a little over $300. How much was that moment at the peak?
Well, at at the peak, people, I saw in the transaction history, someone spent, 10,000 for a cereal worse than mine. So maybe they paid, 9,700 for cereal. Beautiful. 74. So right around there.
Now, how good does it feel that you came in, and I want to come to you now on this because I think this is really important. You came in with $500, and now you say the house is money, but you've got enough to where you're sustainable. You can sell off certain moments if you need to acquire others. How much in your decision-making process, and then let's dive into your story, do you figure into player performance, hype and news around them, and then we go into what the utility or the strategy or the burn map is related to NBA Top Shot and the release of their moments? How much of that is figured into what you're purchasing right now?
Player performance is 80% of it. I don't want to buy guys that I'm not a fan of. And then, 10% is kind of getting a feel for who might be in demand for like Top Shot's games, whether it's like fast break or burning. And then I can either, keep that moment or sell it into that demand kind of and rinse and repeat. My whole thing has kind of been like hustling or flipping or swing trading, maybe cheaper cards, and then using that profit to buy moments that, hey, maybe I want to keep for 20 years and give to my kid.
Okay. All right. Good. And I like this. By the way, thanks for the retweet. Dapper Labs just retweeted us. So we will happily take that.
Nice.
All right. Let's continue. So if you can break down the story for me on how you got the 500 in, where you are now, what you were able to get out to peak. What did that look like?
Sure. I was actually going to start this whole pod off this way, just in case, someone's thinking, well, why should I listen to Matt Roth? What does he know about NBA Top Shot? I've traded over 15,000 singles. You heard that right. That's 15,000 singles. I mean, it takes what, a minute to trade one? That's something Top Shot could work on, by the way. They can make that transaction process just a little bit faster. So yeah, if anyone's wondering, what does Matt know? I've traded 15,000 singles. That tells you all you need to know. When I joined, I started with about $500. And, I was buying these rare packs for $24 or $29. And you couldn't even sell the moments at first. You could transfer them, you could gift them, and then that person could send you whatever, Zelle, crypto, Cash App, etc. But you couldn't even sell these moments. So I would buy these moments. I had a friend that thought they were really cool. When he first told me about them, I didn't think they were so cool. And then he said, you must be in a bad mood. This is exactly the kind of thing you love. You got to check it out. And when I looked at it again, I fell in love with them. I put, like you said, around $500 in, and I started buying these moments. And as things started to take off, I started again selling into the demand. Now, I was early. I joined again in October of 2020, but I never pulled any like really cool or valuable cards early on. Absolutely zero, Craig. And Nicole, I didn't pull a Series 1 LeBron James debut or a Luka debut or any Cosmics or any legendaries whatsoever. So how did I turn this $500 investment to over $300,000 at my peak? Well, it was more than anything just being early, right? I was lucky to be early. If I joined when Nicole joined, it wouldn't matter if I was 10,000 IQ and, tried my absolute best. I would have never been able to run up my account like I did. But you have to understand, Craig, when I joined, there were these moments, some of these rookies that were $1 or $2. For example, the LaMelo Ball rookie, there's 4,000 copies of him, his Top Shot debut. I was buying them for $3, $4, $5, and then they were liquid, Craig, for $4,000. That's a 1,000x.
How did you, Matt? But how do you conceptualize? It's so funny. This mic so sometimes adjusts me. How do you conceptualize that? Really messes up my idea of money, right? Someone will buy something for $1 and then they'll fix it up or make it better. Like, if you have a soap business, you'll get the ingredients. You'll have spent $500 for all the ingredients, right? How do you wrap your head around purchasing this new type of meta, which are these digital assets that you can't put your hands on? It's this digital contract that's moving around in this blockchain. You're doing it basically in ease of like how someone would operate Facebook still to this day, or Instagram, or any social media channel. And I think that's probably the one thing I want to get home to people is like, fine, you don't understand it all. Well, you're hearing a story from someone who just bought a moment for $4. However you did it, maybe there's some tricks now or there's some alpha insight. And then you turn around 2 days, a week later, the thing's worth $4,000. Like, what do you say to your wife and the kids? Like, hey guys, we're rich. Like, how do you wrap your head around this? Is it going to last forever? Boom, my head just exploded.
The last part is the only thing I was thinking was kind of like, is this going to last forever? I have been, I'm not some like cryptocurrency, like super pro or anything of the sort, but I've been involved with crypto for, 10 years prior to Top Shot. Sure. I've always been a gambler. So I wasn't as like blown away by the multiples. It was really fun and it was really cool and it was super surprising. But, yeah, we've seen it happen before with tokens or coins or collectibles. So how was I wrapping my head around it? That's a good question. I didn't think that a LaMelo Ball rookie card would always be $5,000. And then I also didn't think that it would fall back to where it is now, Craig, which is around 30. That's not the most articulate way of expressing my thoughts, but I guess that's just like it. Simply put, I always thought like things were going to correct, maybe 50%, 70%. I didn't see the minus 99.9% coming.
You know who said that was Gary Vee. Actually, was the one who really has kind of kept hammering that home to people as he was selling his own NFTs. And much respect to him on what he's been able to do in the branding and the marketing space. I mean, phenomenal. So when you looked at that and you go, I've bought and sold over 15,000 moments. I put $500 of my own money in. If you don't mind me asking, if you want to share it,
sure.
How much money were you able to make at the peak that you were able to pull out, and approximately net value in collectibles? How many assets do you have now? And what's the approximate value, if you don't mind sharing?
No, of course. I'm happy to share. And just before I do share, let me give credit to Top Shot one more time, because this is one of the best things about digital collectibles. People can just click 3 times and find out if what I'm saying is true. Whereas with these influencers that are in the traditional card market, they can say whatever they want, but there's no way to just double check their math, AKA see if they're lying, right? Whereas you're asking me this question, I'm going to give you an answer. And just because it's digital and because we have all of the transaction histories of every single moment at our fingertips, along with everyone's transaction histories at our fingertips, people can double check. Now, to answer your question, I currently have over 4,100 moments, 4,100 and change. My current account value is around $7,000. So I'm not a whale, but hey, 2025 to still have $7,000 in Top Shot, like that's not so bad.
Pretty good.
And I pulled off probably, right around 6 figures, right around 100,000. So ran it from about 500 up to over 300 grand, 325K. And then, here we are.
You're still winning, bro. You're still winning. If you took the metric chart of a 99% cliff and you're standing at 1/3 of your top value and you were able to pull out 100,000 and you're still sitting with close to $7,000 of actual value on 4,100 plus moments, dude, winner chicken dinner. Give this man a round of applause. I freaking love it. Now, Nicole, I want to dive in a little bit with you on, this is part of our player segment where we've got maybe about another 10 to 15 minutes. And I want to just say this is an honor because we kind of dove into a bunch of things. What NBA Top Shot is doing right? What can they do better? Matt, your success story, I think, is just one that you're just like, whoa, it just shake the earth underneath me. And I'm like, yeah, in all abilities, like you crushed it and are still leading the way. Whale, no whale, who cares? I've got 28 moments in NBA Top Shot. Then in my Flow wallet, I've got another 116. I'm sitting pretty. Nicole, as we look forward to the new year, what are a couple strategies that you're doing? Because as much as you love this game, and I know you're at games, and I do want to talk a little bit about utility with you, I know you're here to make money too. Am I wrong? And if you tell me you're not here to make money, you can just leave now.
No, I'm here to make some money too. Yes. I might collect what I love, but I also like to collect some dollar bills,
Well, talk dollar bills. Wait, talk to me about strategy, players. I mean, obviously player performance is top on Matt's list, as I would agree. And I'm sure there have been some dud players, injuries, behavior outside the court that took that one investment that you made and the player just totally, completely dissed your pockets. But what are we looking at to have a setup of success for the new year, and maybe speak to the newcomers?
I mean, I'm going after underrated rookies. So Ryan Nebhard is a great example of someone who I personally was looking at. He came out in this rookie class. He was picked up on a 2-way contract. I saw him at Summer League, and I was like, this kid has something special. His moment started at $2 to $3. He put up a 28-point performance, and his moment then peaked up to $5 and $6, and now is sitting pretty at $8 to $9. I like the gamification. I like finding the guy who I think is going to have a good career, but isn't getting the minutes as a rookie or isn't performing the way they're expected, because you're playing against grown men in a league that you just walked into it like 19 years old. So that's like my big side of it. I also do floaty loans, which we can dive into if you're interested.
Talk to me about that. Let's go. Floaty loans. Talk to me about it.
So floaty loans. So on floaty, you can become a lender or a borrower. So I am a lender. So a lot of the time people put up a moment that, let's say, is a legendary worth $500. They'll ask to borrow $300 for 30 days, and they'll repay you 98% in interest. So it'll work out to be like $325. If they repay you, you make $25 in interest, and you go and keep lending. And if they don't repay you, the collateral is automatically deposited in your wallet. So it's a way to either you make money or you gain a moment. There's no loss in my world. So it's kind of like a newer feature in Top Shot and Floaty, but it's a way to give you access to moments that maybe you couldn't normally afford at a discount.
I love that. And so talk to me one more thing about Floaty, right? So Floaty's health or system is dependent on how NBA Top Shot does. So the better NBA Top Shot does, the better that you're going to find the borrowers and the lenders getting along and sort of kind of dating each other on this idea. And you've made some money off of Floaty, am I correct? Would you be open to maybe kind of sharing? Go ahead.
Yeah, so last year I believe it was around $25,000 in liquidity through the year, and then I believe my interest made was about $2,500 to $3,000, if I'm not mistaken. I also, like Matt, started off with $500 of my floaty loans. I did continue to add money into it because I was doing well at it and I enjoy it. But like you said, it's hand in hand with the market. So you have to know your players. Like, you don't want to fund a legendary of somebody for $500 and that's what's worth, and that player gets injured tomorrow, the moment dips and someone defaults on the loan.
Because they wouldn't be motivated. They wouldn't be motivated to pay you back, right? Am I right?
Yeah, they're like, why repay it when I can go buy it cheaper? So you need to make sure you're getting a good deal. Is a moment worth it? Like, there's a lot to it.
No, and just the last question on Floaty, and I appreciate it. And big shout out to Floaty. I've seen you guys. I believe we follow each other, and diving in further. So if you're diving into the metaphorical pond of NBA Top Shot and all great things concerning these amazing digital moments that are uniquely created by people, human experience, Floaty, as you're diving in further, might be a way for you to generate money, also potentially collect some moments, but it comes with that risk. If things fall off a cliff, guess what? And I guess the question I would ask is there a punishment for the person who's borrowing the money reputation-wise, or does that not matter like all things in Web3?
I mean, that's very it depends on the – oh, sorry, Matt.
No, please continue.
Oh, it just depends on the person. So, I do borrow occasionally. I have a reputation of always paying back, and I know somebody else who has a similar one. Yeah. There's other people who are at risk, but at the end of the day, to me, that all the collateral I've ever gotten stuck with from someone not repaying, I have sold at a higher price than what I lent out, or I've kept it myself. And sometimes you got to hold something for 6 months to get your value back out of it. But to me, it's worth it to not take the loss.
Yeah, and I also think it's like, who wants to take those little gains? Like, if I'm getting into something, I take my hands, put them under my lap, like acquiring Bitcoin or like acquiring any other asset. Why continue to go down that avenue or that funnel of just selling for little dollars at a time? First off, it's an accounting nightmare if that's what you're reporting. And then secondary, it really doesn't show much. It doesn't show much in the way of your conviction for what you're believing in. And I think for you guys being the ambassadors, and I want to say this directly to NBA Top Shot, you couldn't have two better ambassadors than these two individuals right here, Banana Mac, Nicole, and Matt Roth, because you guys really understand intimately what's going on. Now, digital cards, ownership, community, and utility. I maybe want to talk to you, Nicole, on this, and then I want to come to you, Matt. You know, there are moments where you've gone to events and you've been invited. Tell me about those experiences. And when you were there, you were like, you know, there obviously was there someone there from Flow or NBA Top Shot or Dapper going, guys, we need more of this, because more of this. And Matt, to Matt's point, he said, if you took a full stadium and just cut out the nosebleed section and just actually did some real marketing with the NBA and actually said, hey, go sign up. It's easy. Right? That might be a driver of business if they're able to do that. But when you were at these events, what were some light bulb moments for you?
It was getting together with people who are like-minded, of course, was my number one thing. Talking to people who love Top Shot the way I do, because let's be honest, my friends don't want to hear about it 24/7. But it's like you're together as a collector, but then you get the experience. Like NBA games, I'm Toronto-based, they're expensive. So Top Shot putting it on their dime and sending you out there as a collector, like that's just cool for holding a moment and holding a piece of time. So I've gotten to go to like a Raptors 905 G League game. I got to go to the first WNBA exhibition game in Toronto. I got to go to Raptors versus Warriors with the Top Shot tour. And then I've gotten cool things like I'm the number one Grady Dick collector. They sent me a signed ball because I'm number one on his leaderboard. And you can't get that from physical cards. Nobody would know if I have a stack of 1,000 Grady Dick cards. But Top Shot knows that I have 188.
By the way, it reminds me, and Matt, I want to come to you. Last night, I was in a space and I heard you talking, and NBA Top Shot came up, and you said it's not like you have to like send a card to get proofed. And everybody's like, well, what's NFTs? And Matt, you handled yourself so well. And why NBA Top Shot? And like, here you had a room full of people that maybe after they got off the space, they started thinking, because we know, and every show I should just have $1 just in front of you. See this dollar? It's worth less and less each year. It can get you less and less. How is it that I go to grab 2 bags of groceries and I pay over $100? How does that even happen? I mean, a bag of groceries when I was growing up was not that. And $100 fed an entire family for a couple weeks. Not anymore. So I feel like people are looking to how to hedge their bets, and when they understand or start to educate themselves, if they haven't, and I'm in that process, really educating yourself about money. How does it work? You know, for instance, floaty is sort of that next level. When you get into NBA Top Shot, you start getting those moments. Now, Matt, when we think about the reset on utility, should utility reset every year, or is utility that is just something that's continually evolving over the life of NBA Top Shot?
That's a good question. When I joined NBA Top Shot, I never even thought of the word utility. It never came to mind. I didn't think yeah, this is awesome, but what's the utility behind these? The thought didn't cross my mind. How much more time do we have? Do we really only have 3 more minutes, or can we extend it, or what?
I try to keep it right top to the hour, because 2 things. The fact that you want to talk more, I love it, because I will have you back in the new year. Matt, you've become a friend of mine. So I always try to keep those solid to an hour, because if people love this, they're going to ask more questions. Like we had somebody, I'll just give a quick example. We can have another 5 minutes, but someone says, hey, are they coming out with an NBA Top Shot token? Can you ask that? I was like, and my first thought, and then I'll let you guys answer. No, I don't want them to. I think what the product that they have is good. Don't go too far out. Go ahead, Matt.
I just want to talk about the product itself real quick before we wrap things up, and just kind of, funnel some of the viewers to some of the moments that I think are really cool. So in Series 1, Vince Carter, this is something that could only be encapsulated with a digital moment. You could never do this with a static cardboard card. Vince Carter, one of the all-time greats, hits the very last shot of his career, Craig. It was on March 11th in 2020. And you see his teammates hug him. He puts his arms up. Even though they lose the game, it's the last shot in the game, and he's smiling. And if you're thinking, should I check out Top Shot? If you do decide to go to NBA Top Shot today and check it out because of Craig's video, please look at the Vince Carter Series 1. And that just kind of brings everything together that I've been talking about. Let me just real quick finish. That was the last shot before the NBA shut down for COVID. So there's a lot of history there. It shut down March 11th, and then it came back in July. It came back on July 30th. That's when the bubble started. But again, that Vince Carter shot was not only the last shot of his career, but it was like the last shot before the NBA shut down, something only digital cards could really show.
And I want you to post that moment, tag me in it, because if that's the moment that people need to see to understand how special it is. But if you've got some extra money on the side, and this is not financial advice, I am not your advisor, nor do I want to be, and you're looking to kind of allocate some funds, people talk about Bitcoin, people, talk about Ethereum and Solana. That's great. But if you're looking at moments where people aren't talking about, right, or they're talking about the meta and around NFTs, and you hear that word keep coming up, just look at NBA Top Shot. It's easy to get into. It's easy to purchase. It's easier even to get out of, as you heard from Nicole. Guys, let me just say first a couple things. It is an honor to have you both on today. We will have you back if you so choose, because I think there's going to be another story and more legacy to be created by NBA Top Shot, all the collectors, all the community participants. But before we leave, and I'm just give you guys your last word, are there a couple community shout outs, people that really raised their voices heavy when you were coming on today, or people that you want to recognize that without their presence, it would feel a little more empty?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right now on the whole collecting and connecting crew. I got the flag behind me. These guys were honestly, they become some of my best friends in life. I've met a lot of them, and without them, I don't think I'd collect, because for me, I think collecting and connecting is a huge part of the story, and it becomes more than just a digital collectible. You become friends with these people, and you care about them on a personal level, and I think that makes the hobby even more special. And yeah, so anybody part of that, and anybody who's listening to this and you want to become a part of that, check us out. We're an awesome community, and we're just here for good times.
I love it. And by the way, Pulse Digital, shout out to you. And I love collecting and connecting, because let me just tell you, I've watched the podcasts. You want to really learn consistently on what's going on in NBA Top Shot. It's tuning into you guys and some of your best friends out there. Matt, what are your final words for today's stream? I was like to say pod, but stream. And and then I'll finish it up.
I would just say place your bets now. I know people don't, always like to hear them called bets. Your investments, buy your moments, however you'd like to say it. I'd say place your bets now, because they could even be described as asymmetric bets, in the sense that, hey, you buy a series one moment for $3. It might go to 0. It shouldn't. It might, you lose 3, but it also might go to 30. Asymmetric. You either 10x your $3 or you lose 3. So those would kind of be my final words. I appreciate collecting and connecting. You, Craig, Nicole, everyone that's still 10 toes down with Top Shot after 5 years. It's a really great community, and hope to come back on.
And you will be back on. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in today across Twitch, X, and YouTube. We're going to have more great episodes for our bi-weekly stream series for 2026. More compelling content, short clips, and incredible interviews. And I want to thank you two for coming on today. I'll see you guys soon. Have a happy and a healthy new year. Do something good, and let's make it freaking happen. LFG.
Peace.